What's going on, guys? This is Moonchild, the DudeNoWay, and today we are talking about a bangin' Warlock build I'd bet money you haven't heard about. Shadebinder has an insane kit, and when you play it right, you end up cycling your battlefield control to win fight after fight, engagement after engagement. It's really strong. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an ability engine that lets you use everything you've got all game long, and even get your grenade back in as little as 12 seconds. But before we get into the good stuff, do me a solid and penumbral blast that subscribe button to help me get to my first 500 subs. I am out here every week with a video just like this for your feed, so click that like button so that YouTube's algorithm will tell the world that my stuff is worth watching. Now, let's talk Warlocks. We're running Shadebinder with the exotic sidearm Traveler's Chosen, and if you didn't know, the homie Traveler's Chosen gives you a full 33% of all of your abilities back every time you get a kill, and all you gotta do is hold reload. Combine that with the subclass aspects, fragments, and mods, and you can see on screen that I'm getting my full grenade back in only 12 seconds, over 4 times faster than having a tier 10 discipline stat, and I'm only at a tier 8. But how do I do that? Well, let me break it down for you. To start, we're running Double Bomber on our class item. This shaves off a full 14 seconds off the top of our grenade. The aspect Ice Flare Bolts gives me a small amount of grenade energy back when I shatter a frozen target. This combined lets me throw my grenade, use the Penumbral Blast melee to freeze someone, and shatter them with Traveler's Chosen. I pop my Rift, hold reload, and boom goes the dynamite. I have another grenade. It's important you do it in the order I just mentioned, Rift first, then hold reload to get your ability energy from Traveler's Chosen. And the reason for this is, look how much of my melee and Rift energy I have back. I literally just used them, and look how much I have back. And if you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh baby, your stasis shard's gonna burst when I tell you about this shit. See, you can't fight the entire game in sidearm range. Every engagement would have to be like 15 feet away. Shotgun territory. So to give us the ability to damage enemies no matter how far away they are, we're rocking a Stars and Shadows pulse rifle with Demolitionist. Demolitionist is going to give us a nice piece of grenade energy back for every kill, which pairs perfectly with the exotic armor for this build, VERITY'S Brow. Whenever you get a kill with your Stars and Shadow or your heavy weapon, VERITY'S Brow is going to give you a perk called Death Throws, which lasts for 10 seconds, and makes your grenade cooldown faster while it's active. So now you're getting a chunk back and a faster cooldown for 10 seconds. A ×1 stack is going to give you 8 seconds off your grenade, and you can see on screen that it ramps up considerably the more stacks you get, all the way up to a 43-second reduction in grenade cooldown at a 5-time stack. This works in both PvP and PvE and is an extremely effective way to get your grenade back. But the buffs to our ability regen don't stop there, not by a long shot. You see, our heavy weapon also has Demolitionist. We're getting 30 additional points of strength from Radiant Light and the Fragment Whisper of Durance. And with the Fragment Whisper of Shards, we're now able to shoot anyone's Glacier Grenade to trigger fast ability regen on our own grenade. Warlocks have no inherent way of shattering enemies, but we don't need one to have a reason to take this. Everyone and their mom uses Glacier Grenades in PvP. They're everywhere already, and all I gotta do is put a few bullets into one to buff myself? Count me in, dude. Every time. On our boots, we're running Double Insulation, which is gonna give us a bunch of class ability energy every time we pick up an Orb of Power. Remember, using a Rift gives us 14 seconds off our grenade cooldown, and Insulation synergizes with our Charged with Light mods, Taking Charge, Stacks on Stacks, and High Energy Fire. Taking Charge is going to give us Charged with Light for picking up an Orb of Power, and with Stacks on Stacks, now we're getting 2 stacks for every orb. High Energy Fire gives us a sweet 20% damage buff to all our weapons. Combine that with sidearm targeting on our helmet, and this helps make Traveler's Chosen feel insanely consistent, but also allows us some crazy forgiveness on our Stars and Shadow. Damage buffs like High Energy Fire, or the one you get from Whisper of Hedrons for freezing a target, let you hit more body shots and still maintain your optimal time to kill of 0.67 seconds. And with the buff from Hedrons, you're able to 3 crit, 3 body any Guardian all the way up past 10 resilience, which is nuts. Don't forget, too, Pulse Rifle Loader is part of the artifact this season for only 1 energy. I recommend grabbing it and slotting unflinching Pulse Rifle aim into your chest to help you land those crispy 2 bursts. When you freeze a target and kill it, Whisper of Fissures increases the damage and radius of the explosion, and if you froze 2 or more guys close to each other, everybody's going down with this fragment equipped. You're gonna spend a lot of the game freezing dudes, and this comes into play over and over again. It's gonna snag you double kills just because your enemy played too close together. It's not as powerful as it is on a Hunter or a Titan, but Warlocks get 4 fragment slots, so they can suck it. Before we move on, I want to briefly discuss the playstyle you should be using to make the most out of this build in every game of PvP. You are an anchor, a slayer, and a catalyst for your team, and you're going to succeed the most if you play into the strengths of that role. You want to use your battlefield control to manipulate engagements so that you and your team win. Stay into the longer sightlines of the maps, use the range of your stars and shadow to two-burst people. Stay out of their effective range, and they can't down you in their optimal time to kill. When they get low and duck out of sight, throw your Duskfield grenade to the side of their piece of cover. The farther from the middle of the grenade the enemy is, the more they'll be sucked into the center. If you do this right, you can rip them right out from where they were standing. This target is now low health, out of position, and slowed for 4 seconds because we took the fragment Whisper of Durance. They should be easy to clean up. But even if you can't kill them for whatever reason, if they don't immediately exit the Duskfield, they're gonna get frozen and give you that sick 25% damage buff from Whisper of Hedrons. It's kind of a win-win. You should be cycling between long-range engagements when your grenade is ready and short-range duels with other guardians when your melee is up. Penumbral Blast is perfect for shutting down shotgunners that are rushing you. You hit them with it, which again, activates the damage buff from Whisper of Hedrons, and now it only takes 2 or 3 headshots from Traveler's Chosen to put them down. Then you hold reload for that sweet, sweet ability energy and keep on trucking. This cycle will become second nature to you the longer you use the build. You essentially always have an ability to control the battlefield and net the win for your team. And that, specifically, is what makes the skill ceiling for this loadout. Understanding the difference between when to use your abilities offensively or defensively on a second-to-second basis is what makes you good. As Destiny players, it's easy for us to be selfish. We want the kill credit, naturally. But when you see an ally engaged in a fight, don't be afraid to toss a Duskfield their way. We're used to pretty long cooldowns, but this build doesn't suffer from that, so you need to cement it into your mind that it is okay for you to use your abilities to help your team. You control the flow of the engagement, even if you aren't directly responsible for the kills. Slowing an enemy for 4 seconds is huge. If they're already fighting your teammate and suddenly they can't sprint or double jump, it's usually good game and your team wins that fight. Tossing a Penumbral Blast stops an enemy in their tracks for 1.5 seconds, and not only that, they're basically one-shot. If anyone's there to capitalize, including yourself, it's a hard I win button. Every match becomes a game of Simon Says. You control when the enemy moves and when they don't. The Rift is another perfect example, because you can use it in the traditional way to get healing or extra damage for your team next to a choke point, or, if you're slick with your timing, you can use it to shut people down who are rushing you. If you look on your radar and all of a sudden there's red right by the center, drop a Rift and tell that blueberry Simon Says stop. If you did it right, they'll be frozen and all you have to do is high-five them in the forehead to get the kill. Shoulda had a V8, motherfucker. One thing I haven't talked about yet is the other part of VERITY'S Brow's exotic perk, and this is where the catalyst part of the build comes in. Every time Death Throws is active and you throw a grenade, your nearby allies are getting greatly increased grenade regen. What this means is your teammate hunters are going to be able to shatter dive more, Titans will have more glacier grenades to slide through. You're basically giving your team more I win buttons to play with every game. In this meta, with as powerful as grenades currently are, the value of this part of the exotic can't be overstated. The more times your buddies can use their one-shot abilities, the more everyone will succeed in dominating the enemy team. Catalyst may not be the role that excites you to play, but it should be. The battlefield is like a chessboard, and your teammates are your pieces. If a hunter gets a grenade back super fast because of VERITY'S Brow, and then goes on to get a 4-piece shatter dive with it, that happened because of you. It may not show up on your scoreboard, but you did that. Watch the kill feed for shatters from your team, and be confident that a lot of those happen just because you're there. Smile to yourself when you see your buddies get a multi-kill and emote. They're gonna think they did something, but really, it was you, manipulating the flow of battle and pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Give them their credit, let them revel in their moment. You're already a god. Let the mortals have their fun. This loadout is one of my absolute favorites I've ever played in D2. Having the power to choose between how I use my abilities, either to help my team or secure a kill for myself, is crazy fun. VERITY'S Brow is an exotic that no one ever talks about, yet here it is, shining in the Stasis meta because of the power it gives to not only our own, but our allies' grenade recharge rates. Who would have thought? The 1v1 potential of this build is through the roof. It's really a dueling machine because if you play it right, every single engagement you have something to use to turn the tides in your favor. I love Stars and Shadow, it's got great base stats and a wide perk pool, but also it just feels sticky and consistent, especially for longer range engagements. Traveler's Chosen's always going to be my baby, because it's the key to making the ability engine run, but also in general it's just a really solid sidearm. Within its effective range, that 0.6 second time to kill means it pretty much mows every primary in the game, and it's also, low-key, the perfect way to clean up after tossing a Penumbral Blast into somebody's face. Duskfield gives you slows and freezes, Whisper of Fissures gives you multi-kills, you have multiple damage buff to help your weapons shut people down. This build really has it all, and if you haven't tried it, I recommend you throw on a dress and go hurt some feelings. Thanks for watching. I am Moonchild of DudeNoWay, and I will see you in the next video.